so pleased today to be joined for this episode of The Untold Story by Kathie Lee Gifford and Rabbi Jason Sobel. They have a new book called The God of the Way, a journey into the stories, people, and faith that changed the world forever. And there is a companion movie, The Way, that goes with this that I believe is coming out on September 1,
yes,
right?
Uh-huh.
So I watched the trailer of it last night. And then what happened when you watch the trailer, which is beautiful, and you're watching this trailer and all this amazing music, and you're like, oh, well, there's Larry Gatlin, and there's this. It's just full of these amazing performers, and it's shot in the most beautiful location. I want you to tell us about that. But
thank you, Martha.
So,
that means a lot to me.
Kathie, let me start with you. Tell me what the motivation was for this new project. You've really devoted yourself to sharing the Bible with people in this chapter of your career, which is just amazing.
I've always been a Bible nerd all my life since I went to the Holy Land the first time when I was 17 years old. I missed my high school graduation because I went to the first Jerusalem conference on biblical prophecy. So all I wanted to do was go there. And, you know, I was not your typical 17-year-old, and I'm not your typical anything. I never have been. But anyway, I was fascinated by the stories. I grew up, my father's name was Aaron Leon Epstein. His father was a full-blooded Russian Jew. My mother was Gentile. But we didn't, so I knew I had Jewish blood in my family, and I knew that I had French Canadian and Germanic. You know, we're all little mutts in America, right? But I didn't have a relationship with living God yet until I was 12 years old. And I came to know Yeshua, Jesus, at a movie theater. And I thought it was so sweet of the Lord to meet me right where I was, because all my life I've wanted to be an actress and a singer. People say, "Well, you're a dream job with Hoda, with Regis." I go, "No, there were no talk show hosts when I was growing up. I wanted to be Haley Mills.
Yes.
You know, I wanted to be in Disney movies, and now I get to do it, Martha. It's a really thrilling season for me." So I moved to Tennessee, and a friend of mine had set up a writing session with an amazing artist named Nicole C. Mullen. Gorgeous, gorgeous woman, great writer, great performer, an amazing singer. Didn't even know her. That's what I love about Nashville. You sit down with people you don't even know, and you write a song. We thought we were going to write a 3-minute typical song about Hagar in the Bible, in the Genesis story. Well, she left for ministry. We started it, but we didn't finish. I said, "You go to Nigeria, do your work there. I'll go back to my mission field, the Today Show, and I'll finish it while you're gone." Well, under the inspiration of the Holy Spirit, it went from a 3-minute song to an 11.5-minute piece of theater, actually, not just about Hagar, but Ruth and then David with their desert experiences, very different and sometimes centuries apart, but still so compelling with the same concept that God sees us in our desert and in our wilderness experiences, and he loves us, and he will provide the way for us out. And then it ends with Mary Magdalene at the cross and at the tomb. And under the same inspiration of the same Holy Spirit, when she got back, we went into a demo session, and she was so brilliant singing the song and putting in the narration. I said, "All right, now look what you've done. I'm going to get the Nashville Symphony Orchestra players to get underneath you." And that's what I thought it was going to be, just so she could then do it in her concert work. Well, next thing you know, I said, "Now you've done it. Listen to how great. Now pack your bags. We're going to Israel." And I'm going to direct for the first time ever, because I've been in front of the camera my whole life, but I've been watching and learning about everything I want to do. And so we went, and that became The God Who Sees, seen by about 10 million people now, and lives changed in the three.
It's a beautiful oratorio, beautiful film.
Thank you.
You know, one of the things that I just love about you, and every time I'm with you, I'm so inspired because you just directed your first film at your age.
Yeah.
And you are constantly doing new things.
Yes.
And I loved your other book about just the different chapters in life, and your children just got married, and you're at a time when a lot of women are trying to figure out, you know, what's left, right? What do I do now? You just don't think that way at all. You just take on new projects and do new things over and over, which I love.
Because you know why? The Lord told me the other day, people who live in the past die there.
Yeah.
I don't want to die there. And that's why I've partnered up with this guy. He keeps me thinking. He keeps me growing. I learn something brand new from Rabbi Jason every single day, and it changes my life. It's not just, oh, that's interesting. I go, what? It's revelation all the time with this guy.
Okay, so let's bring you into this story, Rabbi. It's wonderful to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
How did you two meet, and what's the genesis, so to speak, of this project?
Yeah, I mean, we met in New York City a number of years ago when Kathie Lee wanted to write a book. Her life was changed. She can tell more about it when she went on a rabbinical study tour of Israel, and she wanted to share that with the world, and she wanted to write a book about it, which became The Rock, the Road, and the Rabbi, which has been used to impact many people's lives. Yeah, we went to Israel. We've been to Israel together a number of times, wrote the book together. And, when we sat down and talked about kind of looking at the Bible from a Hebraic Jewish perspective and how it just brings everything to life. The way I like to describe it is one year I went out and bought a high definition television before the Super Bowl, and everyone's like, it's going to change the way you see the game. And I'm like, this isn't that great. And at the end of the game, I had a revelation. The higher channels were the high definition channels. I watched the whole game in standard definition. And when I saw it in high definition, I'm like, yeah, it adds a lot. And so most people are reading the Bible in standard definition. Jesus was Jewish. The apostles were Jewish. The writers of the New Testament were Jewish. You can't get the rich depth of what's happening without understanding it. Every major event in Jesus' life happened on a Jewish holiday. He dies as a Passover lamb. He rises from the dead on first fruits. So, I mean, there's all these different things. So that's what we wanted to do in this book. Look at the great stories of the scriptures, the great men and women of faith in the Hebrew scriptures and in the New Testament, and help people see it in high definition in a way they've never seen it before, really to bring hope to people, because these stories are stories of hope, and they contain promises for us today and for our future.
Yeah. And it's one story, Martha. That's the thing. You're a student of history. You know how things divide. Things start with just one maybe significant moment or something. Then it just explodes exponentially. And that's what's happened when we started looking at the Bible as Old Testament for the Jews, New Testament for the Christians. That is a lie from the pit of hell. It's one magnificent story of God, Jehovah Elohim, creator of all, loving everything and everyone he has created. And he put us in a garden. He didn't put us in a corrupt world, in a cesspool. You know, a lot of the world has become just this corrupt chaos of nothingness. That's what everything started out as. But his shalom brought it to be, and his word says that one day the desert, the nothingness will bloom again. And that's what's happening in a lot of people's hearts and souls now, because they're learning what the scriptures really mean. It's not a bad translation of it. You know, you've got to go back to the Greek and the Hebrew. That's why it's so important to study with people like Rabbi, because otherwise it's a waste of time.
Well, this is what I want to ask you about, because I'm very interested in it personally. And it made me think of Pope John Paul II when you talk about the relationship between Catholics and the Jewish faith, and his understanding of, you know, we all came from the same brothers. We're all from the same tree. So this idea of the translations and how the importance of going back to these original texts. How do people, you know, so obviously one way is to read this book to understand that, but explain the importance of understanding these original texts.
Well, Rabbi's the best at that. I don't want to, take all these questions. But for me, it changed my life, because I was reading bad translations and I had no power in my life. And the joy was dissipating, and I was lukewarm, and I just was starting to question, and it wasn't until, I had a religion, I suppose you could say, but it's not, we don't love religion. We love relationship with the living God. Religion can put you in chains. Jesus came to take us out of chains and put them on himself so we wouldn't have to have them. And that's what frees you up. All of a sudden, I was on fire again for my faith. For my, I was, as I said, my father's father was Russian Jew. I feel more and more and more of my Judaism now, my Jewishness. Although I didn't go to temple when I was growing up, but I was aware. Now I understand it.
The connection between all of it.
Yes, a line came to me the other day. I want to put in a song. Oh, the ancient blood that flows through me from the dawn of creation through eternity.